I am the true heiress who was lost outside. After my parents brought me back, they both unexpectedly passed away. To make up for the years of neglect, they left me 100 billion inheritance before they passed. Later, the fake heiress Sophia pushed me into the sea, and I was rescued by fishermen while unconscious. Upon waking, I made a call.
Send a helicopter to the Namibian coast to pick me up. I need to attend the shareholders' meeting in person.
Yes, Emily.
15 hours later, the helicopter hovered over the Jiang Group's headquarters. The deafening roar and the whirlwind created by the rotor blades were overwhelming. On the wide lawn, the fake heiress Sophia's cherished Rolls-Royce was parked. It was a birthday gift from my 4 brothers to her.
Emily, there's an obstacle on the ground. Should we avoid it?
Land and crush it.
After a teeth-grinding collision, the helicopter landed steadily. 4 or 5 security guards rushed over aggressively, blocking our way.
Do you think this is a private airport?
The assistant stepped aside, revealing me in a black suit with a cold expression. The security guards were shocked and immediately bowed in apology.
Miss Isabella is back. We were blind, please don't blame us.
Get lost.
I had no patience for their act, knowing they had secretly pressed the communicator to report. Since I was back, it was time to settle the scores. Nothing would stand in my way. A group of people hurried out of the building, led by my fake heiress sister, Sophia. She looked at me with panic in her eyes but quickly squeezed out tears and rushed over.
Sister. Oh my God, I thought you were.
I raised my hand and pushed her away hard, watching her stumble and fall to the ground with a cold gaze.
It hurts. Brothers, look at her.
Sophia complained pitifully, but when she turned her head, she found that none of the 4 brothers paid her any attention. They all stared at me, their faces a mix of shock and complexity.
Isabella.
Michael opened his mouth, wanting to say something. But I strode past them without a word, expressionless.
Let me guess, you were happily preparing to sign the inheritance transfer papers.
Isabella.
Michael called my name from behind, but I ignored him and forcefully pushed open the conference room door. The noisy room suddenly fell silent, with dozens of eyes on me. I looked up at the screen, where a glaring line of text read: The legal heir of the Jiang Group has tragically passed away, and her inheritance will be transferred to her sister, Sophia.
Who agreed to this? Did anyone ask me? Just because I was missing for 2 days, someone spread rumors of my passing?
The room erupted in whispers. The 4 brothers, supporting Sophia, followed me in, looking embarrassed. The fake heiress covered her scraped elbow, looking at me with tearful eyes.
Sister.
Whose name is on the inheritance document as the legal heir of the Jiang Group?
It's yours, Isabella.
The notary closed the document and adjusted his glasses. James frowned and spoke in a reproachful tone.
Don't be so unreasonable. If there's a misunderstanding, we can discuss it privately.
I interrupted him and looked directly at Michael.
As you can see, I'm alive and well. So the Jiang Group still belongs to me.
Michael's eyes were complicated, but he nodded. I didn't care what he was thinking and picked up the remote to turn off the screen. The screen went black instantly. I slowly bent down, placing my hands on the table, and scanned the room. Under their stunned gazes, I raised my lips and announced,
Meeting adjourned.
As I tore up the inheritance transfer document, Sophia's eyes turned red. The 100 billion inheritance slipped through her fingers. The large conference room emptied, leaving only a few of us. The four brothers' faces were unpredictable. Sophia squatted on the ground, picking up the torn documents, tears falling.
The inheritance you handed to me, I couldn't keep it. But why did sister have to embarrass you in front of everyone?
She cast a questioning look at me, but Michael blocked it.
Sophia, Isabella is alive, so what we said before doesn't count.
Sophia looked at him in disbelief, extremely aggrieved. I didn't feel grateful to Michael for his words. They couldn't wait to transfer the inheritance after just 2 days of my disappearance. It was impossible without his consent. No matter their intentions, now that I was back, the Jiang group could only be mine. I couldn't be bothered to watch their act and turned to leave. David, sharp-eyed, quickly asked,
Isabella, where are you going?
Naturally, back to Cloud Mist Manor.
I turned around, staring into his eyes, and saw his expression stiffen, his gaze evasive. I glanced meaningfully at the four men. Cloud Mist Manor was the Jiang family's old residence, also the home my parents left me. But now, who knows if it was inhabited by people or ghosts?
Do you even deserve to live in Cloud Mist Manor?
Shut up.
Michael, with anger in his eyes, immediately stopped him.
Isabella, we thought something happened to you, so we sold Cloud Mist Manor.
He looked at me with some guilt, thought for a moment, and said,
I have an apartment on Qing Bay Road. It's only 80 square meters, but it's barely livable. You.
I glanced at him and suddenly laughed.
Sold? Cloud Mist Manor covers 3,000 square meters and is worth at least $2 billion. I should thank you, Michael, for keeping so much liquid capital for me.
My gaze fell on Sophia, looking at the familiar clothes and jewelry she wore, and I sneered inwardly.
But I can't get used to living elsewhere. Give me the auction proceeds, and I'll buy it back.
Sophia immediately looked up, wanting to speak but stopping. Michael frowned and patted her back soothingly. After leaving the conference room, I instructed my assistant to arrange meetings with all the real estate developers, jewelry stores, and luxury brand executives in S-City, saying I wanted to make a multi-billion-dollar deal. The entire S-City was in an uproar. Business cars converged on the Jiang group from all directions, and many media outlets followed the news. The executives were overjoyed, bowing and shaking hands repeatedly when they saw me.
Miss Isabella, you are truly our benefactor. Rest assured, whatever your request today, we will provide the best solution.
It's simple. I want to buy back Cloud Mist Manor and all the items inside. Here's the list. Whoever finds it first, I'll pay the market price immediately.
The room fell silent. The executives looked at each other and simultaneously opened their laptops to search, making calls one after another.
Hello, check Cloud Mist Manor immediately. Miss Isabella once had a Winston blue diamond worth $23.8 million. Check the new buyer of this necklace immediately. Manager, the items we previously sold to Miss Jiang.
The hall was like a boiling pot, with arguments and noise intertwined. I leisurely sat at the head, taking a sip of the red wine handed to me by the assistant. Not bad. Half an hour later, everyone looked at me in confusion.
Miss Isabella, did you perhaps remember incorrectly? These items are still under your name. There's no record of them being transferred.
I calmly looked up, placing the wine glass on the table, and glanced at the hall entrance.
Oh. Really?
There stood a flustered Sophia and the four men with dark expressions. All eyes followed my gaze. Suddenly, a jewelry executive exclaimed in surprise.
Hey, Isn't that the Winston blue diamond necklace under Miss Isabella's name?
Others were stunned and stood up one after another.
The Hermes diamond-encrusted Kelly bag, only 12 in the world. That watch seems to be.
More and more professionals stood up in amazement, and the media rushed over, frantically taking photos. Sophia, blinded by the flash, clumsily covered the luxury items on her body, screaming,
No, these are mine! How dare you take pictures of me?
Perhaps thinking I was gone and too excited to show off, Sophia was adorned with luxury items from head to toe. Now, she was caught red-handed. 4 men desperately tried to shield her, while James and Robert glared at me angrily. Having seen enough, I clapped my hands and leaned back in my chair. Looking at the disheveled group below, I chuckled softly.
Items worth billions can't be handled carelessly. Since Sophia claims they are hers, we'll have to let the police decide.
James urgently tried to stop me, his expression grave.
Isabella, don't blow this out of proportion.
I didn't even bother to look at him and instructed my assistant.
Call the police and report a burglary. The suspect has been caught red-handed.
Given the large amount involved, the police decided to investigate the Cloud Mist Manor personally. As a suspect, Sophia was taken away, with 4 men surrounding her protectively. Firefighters were using equipment to cut open the manor's gate. Sophia, with tears in her eyes and biting her lip, pleaded pitifully.
Officer, I didn't take anything. These are all my belongings. I'm Isabella's sister.
The assistant immediately stepped forward, presenting a paternity test.
Sophia's real name is Olivia, and she has no blood relation to Miss Isabella. Before the Jiang couple passed away, they had already terminated the adoption and issued a certificate.
The police exchanged glances and nodded. Robert angrily cursed.
Isabella, do you have any conscience? In the years you were gone, it was Sophia who took care of our parents. Even if the adoption was terminated, she is still the Jiang family's goddaughter.
I rolled my eyes. Was she really taking care of our parents, or were our parents pampering a spoiled, fake heiress?
Robert, read more books when you have time. Godparent relationships are not recognized by law.
Crack. The door was cut open. The police led the way, followed by a swarm of industry elites and media, rushing into the manor villa. As the door opened, the first thing they saw were the art photos hanging everywhere in the hall. All of them were of Olivia, smiling charmingly. Originally, the photos here were the first and last family portrait of me and my parents.
Cloud Mist Manor hasn't been sold, and Miss Isabella doesn't even have the keys. So why are there so many photos of Olivia here?
This question was like a resounding slap, hitting Sophia and the 4 brothers hard. Just an hour ago, they had guiltily told me that Cloud Mist Manor had been sold. Feeling the scrutinizing gazes, I coldly walked up to Olivia.
Hand over the keys.
Olivia's face turned pale, tears welling up.
I didn't take the keys, and I didn't hang these photos. Sister, please believe me.
Several bodyguards restrained her, blocking the 4 men who wanted to intervene. The assistant walked over and dumped the contents of her bag. Then, from a pile of luxury items, he pulled out the keys. The crowd gasped.
Brothers, help me! I didn't take anything!
She turned to them, pleading, while David and Robert, eyes blazing, tried to rush forward but were held back by Michael. He looked at me, his gaze dark and terrifying. I was indifferent, walking up to Olivia and yanking the necklace from her neck.
Ah! It hurts!
She clutched her reddened neck, glaring at me with tearful eyes. I raised an eyebrow and smiled, signaling the assistant to show the purchase receipts and inheritance list to the police.
The necklace, the watch, the bag, all the jewelry and clothes you're wearing are mine.
With each item I mentioned, the assistant pulled one off her. The hall fell silent. Olivia struggled and screamed, breaking down in tears. When the assistant reached for her clothes, she panicked and turned to them for help.
Brothers, help me. Michael, you personally gave me the manor, and you said everything inside was mine.
I suddenly understood, looking at the man with a dark expression. He looked at the tearful Olivia, a hint of pity in his eyes, and spoke with a slightly harsh tone.
Isabella, enough is enough. It was all a misunderstanding. We thought something had happened to you, so we let Sophia stay in the house.
Seeing my indifference, he pursed his lips, seemingly making a decision.
Since you're back, these things naturally belong to you.
Michael!
Olivia looked at him in disbelief, tears streaming down her face.
You said it was good that Isabella was gone, that no one would fight with me anymore, and that these things were mine. You said I was the only daughter the Jiang family recognized.
The crowd erupted, dozens of complex gazes falling on them. The police, understanding the situation, looked at me with sympathy. I smirked, the real show was just beginning. After the farce ended, Olivia was stripped of her clothes and thrown out. The four men were busy giving her their jackets, cursing at the door, and were forcibly taken away by the police. That night, I hosted a banquet for all the high-ranking officials present, selling all the items Olivia had worn or used at a low price.
Everyone's commission will be doubled.
Seeing their ecstatic expressions, I smiled and raised my glass. Dirty things naturally don't deserve me. The next day, several media outlets reported that the Jiang family's heiress had been abandoned. Four biological brothers had conspired to seize the inheritance and give it to an unrelated adopted daughter, just to please her. For a time, the title of the most pitiful heiress was bestowed upon me. Meanwhile, Olivia was subjected to countless malicious speculations and attacks, her reputation plummeting.
I bet Olivia used charm to gain favor. How else could a country girl be so fiercely protected by the Jiang brothers? Olivia exudes a petty vibe. She's just an adopted child. How dare she try to usurp the real heiress and enjoy a lifetime of luxury? What a dream! She looks like a schemer. The Jiang family raised her well, and instead of being grateful, she turned around and took the real daughter's inheritance.
The internet was abuzz, and some even surrounded Olivia, condemning her actions. A reporter interviewed me.
Miss Isabella, Olivia took items worth billions from you. Why didn't you pursue legal action against her?
I looked at him with pity.
She once called me sister. Even though she was unkind to me, I can't bear to see her suffer in prison.
The reporter was silent for a long time, deeply moved.
Miss Isabella, you truly embody the grace of a noble family. Your magnanimity is admirable.
I smiled faintly, not denying it. Sending her to prison so quickly would be too easy. After all, I haven't even settled the score for what she did to me. The Hermes diamond-encrusted Kelly bag, only 12 in the world.
That watch seems to be.
More and more professionals stood up in amazement, and the media rushed over, frantically taking photos. Sophia, blinded by the flash, clumsily covered the luxury items on her body, screaming.
No, these are mine! How dare you take pictures of me?
Perhaps thinking I was gone and too excited to show off, Sophia was adorned with luxury items from head to toe. Now, she was caught red-handed. The Hermes diamond-encrusted Kelly bag, only 12 in the world.
That watch seems to be.
More and more professionals stood up in amazement, and the media rushed over, frantically taking photos. Sophia, blinded by the flash, clumsily covered the luxury items on her body, screaming,
"No, these are mine! How dare you take pictures of me?"
Perhaps thinking I was gone and too excited to show off, Sophia was adorned with luxury items from head to toe. Now, she was caught red-handed. Narrator, tone, serious. I addressed the crowd with a calm demeanor.
Isabella, tone, serious. Since William has lofty ambitions, the Jiang family is too small to accommodate such a great figure. We can only ask Mr. William to seek opportunities elsewhere. You two are so in love and even have a child together. I wouldn't want to break up such a pair. From today on, my engagement with William is null and void. I wish you both a long and happy life together.
I finished speaking with satisfaction, threw down 2 red bills, and turned to leave. A token of goodwill, so to speak. The news of William being dismissed from the group sparked another round of heated discussions. After that day, William stayed at the company entrance, struggling and pleading with me despite the security guard's efforts to stop him. He even went days without nourishment, eventually collapsing and being taken away by an ambulance. Rumors spread within the group, with some saying I was too heartless, ending a decade-long engagement without any mercy. I paid no attention and had my assistant expose the scandal of William and Olivia's affair and pregnancy. The entire industry was in an uproar. No one expected the always polite and upright William to be involved with his fiancée's sister. His reputation plummeted instantly. In the following weeks, several companies rejected his job applications, leaving William with no options but to kneel at the group's entrance again. I couldn't be bothered with him, letting him cause a scene outside. Until the media frenzy grew too large to ignore. That afternoon, Olivia and Michael came to take him away. From that day on, the 4 brothers of the Jiang family became unusually quiet. I had no time to deal with their affairs, fully immersing myself in the group's business. On Thursday, feeling a bit tired, I drove back, only to see Olivia at the estate entrance. She was dressed lightly, shivering in the cold wind, but lifted her chin as soon as she saw me.
Olivia, tone, unfriendly sister, William and I are getting engaged soon. He's so gentle and caring, thanks to your generosity for giving him up.
I didn't even spare her a glance, parking the car and heading to the villa door. She followed closely, pressing the door handle with a strange smile.
Olivia, tone, angry, how does it feel? Even after being recognized by the Jiang family, you still can't get their love. Your 4 brothers despise you, your fiancé betrayed you. It must be a miserable feeling.
I smirked without responding. She seemed encouraged, pressing on.
Olivia, tone, shouting, how did it feel to almost drown, on the brink of death with no one to save you? But you deserved it. Without your return, the Jiang family would have remained happy and harmonious, but you had to come back and ruin everything. You're a jinx. Since you returned, our parents had accidents and passed away, the 4 brothers left home, and even I lost everything.
She grew more agitated, her whole body trembling.
Olivia, tone, angry, I won't let you succeed. Everything I lost, I will take back with my own hands. Even as a fake daughter, I still received everyone's love, while you ended up isolated and abandoned.
I looked at her in surprise.
Isabella, tone, serious, but have you ever thought that maybe it's not me who needs them, but they who need me? Without the support of the Jiang group, they were like phoenixes with broken wings, reduced to chickens. Ants live in colonies because they can only survive by sticking together. And Olivia, like picking up trash, helped me get rid of these burdensome hypocrites. I was happy to be free.
Olivia, tone, shouting, stop talking nonsense. the first time you returned to the Jiang family, you took away our parents' love. Now you're back. You've taken the inheritance that should have been mine.
She grew more agitated, her face flushed, eyes filled with malice.
Olivia, tone, angry, do you think I spent all these years pretending to be a good daughter in front of the Jiang couple, desperately trying to please them for nothing? These were rightfully mine. Why should you get everything just by coming back? Olivia, tone, shouting Isabella, why did you have to come back? It would have been better if you had just died out there. If you were gone, no one would compete with me.
Her expression turned vicious as she reached out to grab me. I dodged, frowning at her.
Isabella, tone, serious, you're crazy.
Olivia suddenly gave a sinister smile.
Olivia, tone, whispering, yes, I'm crazy, Isabella. Let's go to a bad place together.
She suddenly leaned to the side, about to roll down the steps. My heart skipped a beat, and in a flash, I grabbed her.
Isabella, tone, serious, be careful of the child you're carrying.
Even if the trick was old, I had to admit. If anything happened to this child while she was with me, it would cause a huge uproar. Olivia looked at me, a smug smile forming on her lips as she whispered.
Olivia, tone, whispering, Isabella, since William left you, he's been in a terrible state. A useless man like him, why would I give him a child?
With that, she suddenly pulled away, rolling down the steps.
Olivia, tone, shouting, ah, it hurts.
Olivia clutched her stomach, curled up on the ground, wailing in pain, blood flowing beneath her. Not far away, 5 men rushed over simultaneously. William was the first to reach her, his face pale, holding her helplessly, completely panicked. Michael and James quickly called the police and an ambulance, while David and Robert rolled up their sleeves, ready to charge at me. Olivia gasped painfully, speaking in broken sentences.
Olivia, tone, sad, I just wanted to invite my sister to my engagement party with William, but it seems my sister really hates me.
She was covered in blood, looking pitifully weak. The 5 men were furious, their gazes like daggers. I found it amusing. When fools go crazy, they even harm themselves. The Hermes diamond-encrusted Kelly bag, only 12 in the world.
No, these are mine! How dare you take pictures of me?
The media rushed over, frantically taking photos. Sophia, blinded by the flash, clumsily covered the luxury items on her body, screaming. Perhaps thinking I was gone and too excited to show off, Sophia was adorned with luxury items from head to toe. Now, she was caught red-handed. At that moment, the representatives from the Empire Blue Group arrived. The entourage was grand, with over 30 business elites in formal attire. While they exchanged pleasantries, an assistant whispered in my ear.
The young masters of the Jiang family are waiting outside. They insist on coming in, saying that even if you don't hand Jiang Group to Olivia, it shouldn't be given to Vida for nothing.
I lazily waved my hand, instructing the assistant to let them in. They were probably more worried about their own fate if Jiang Group fell. Only when pushed to the brink did they realize I wouldn't budge, and now they were panicking. When will these people ever learn? Meanwhile, the Empire Blue Group had taken their seats, and Jiang Group and Vida were presenting their projects. Just as I stood up, a piercing scream echoed through the hall.
Jiang Group has long been hollowed out. She has no right to participate in today's bidding.
The hall erupted, with everyone whispering, the buzz almost piercing the ceiling.
Sophia!
Michael stood up abruptly, reprimanding her, seemingly in disbelief. Olivia tilted her head back, laughing like a clucking hen.
Michael, forget about Jiang Group. It's rotten to the core. Don't forget what you promised me. If you help her now, everything will be in vain.
I looked at the four brothers of the Jiang family, who exchanged glances, their expressions shifting between struggle and hesitation. Finally, Michael sighed and made a decision.
Let's go.
I didn't realize Olivia had such charm, making you four brothers willing to be Vida's lackeys. My words froze them in place. Vida and Jiang Group had been rivals since our grandfather's time, locked in decades of open and covert battles. Being lackeys was unthinkable, even bowing their heads was out of the question.
What nonsense are you spouting?
James stepped forward angrily, only to be stopped by an assistant who slapped a document against his chest.
Mr. James, please take a look. This is Olivia and Vida's CEO's DNA test result.
Under the stunned gaze of the entire hall, I slowly added.
That's right, Olivia is the biological daughter of Vida Group's CEO, Luda.
Luda glared at me silently, while Olivia, sitting on the ground, trembled uncontrollably.
When did you find out?
A long time ago. Not only that, but I also know that our parents cut ties with you because they discovered your plan with Luda.
And you conspired with Luda to orchestrate my parents' accident. Shortly after I returned, a series of strange events occurred. Despite their love for Olivia, my parents resolutely cut ties with her. Then came the car accident that took their lives, and my near-catastrophic incident at sea. But she didn't know that before the accident, my parents had subtly hinted at the situation to me. I secretly investigated and gathered evidence. Once I had enough, I struck decisively. She laughed hysterically, tears streaming down her face.
Isabella, you truly are the smartest one in the Jiang family. But what does it matter? It's too late. Your brothers have already emptied Jiang Group and handed it to me. You, with nothing left, can only wait for your end. The Jiang family is finished.
The four brothers' expressions shifted from shock to despair, finally collapsing in defeat. Who could have imagined this was a meticulously planned conspiracy spanning over a decade? I watched her laugh, speaking curiously.
Who told you I have nothing left?
She froze at my words.
I never really cared for Jiang Group. I only took over because it was my parents' life's work. You think I'm a fallen heiress?
I shook my head with a sympathetic smile.
No, I am actually from the creme de la creme.
At that moment, the representative from Empire Blue Group approached, bowing respectfully.
Emily, I didn't reveal your identity earlier as I hadn't received your instructions. Allow me to formally introduce Ms. Isabella, the CEO of Empire Blue Group.
Olivia watched in disbelief, completely petrified. Luda's smile vanished, clutching his chest in shock. The four brothers of the Jiang family stood agape, their eyes nearly popping out. And William, standing in the far corner, stared at the radiant figure under the spotlight, filled with regret. The hall was in shock. Sirens wailed. Luda and Olivia tried to flee but were caught at the door. Charged with intentional harm, they were immediately taken away. Vida Group was implicated in multiple illegal transactions, ordered to shut down, and all involved were arrested. Jiang Group officially became a subsidiary of Empire Blue Group, becoming its S-City branch. This time, I emerged as the biggest winner. The four brothers of the Jiang family finally revealed why they supported Olivia. I had thought Olivia had some special charm over men, making them lose their minds. But it turned out our parents had left their billion-dollar inheritance to me, causing their dissatisfaction. So, they tried to control Olivia to reclaim the inheritance and redistribute it among themselves. They thought highly of themselves, believing a lonely girl like me couldn't stir up much trouble. Even my near-catastrophic incident at sea was something they tacitly allowed.
For your own selfish desires, you were willing to harm your own sister and almost handed our parents decades of hard work to our rivals. You are unworthy of being human.
I reclaimed the funds they had siphoned from Jiang Group into their own companies and submitted evidence of their attempted conspiracy to the police. Now, they would likely spend years behind bars. In just a few days, with iron-fisted tactics and decisive actions, Jiang Group underwent a complete overhaul. When I saw William again, he was in a wrinkled shirt, waiting for me at the entrance of the group. His stubble was thick, his eyes swollen, looking utterly disheveled, a far cry from his previous refined appearance.
Isabella, I was truly out of my mind back then. I deserve to be punished.
He pleaded for my forgiveness, his eyes filled with desperation. I lifted my eyelids, my face expressionless.
Good to know. Now get lost.
Surrounded by people, I walked into the group in my high heels. Along the way, people paused, smiling and bowing to greet me.
Emily, welcome back.
The end.